Here's the reading of pages 510 to 515, starting off with how the church was organized. By AD 800, Christianity had spread across much of Europe. The leader of the Christian church was the Pope, who was also the Bishop of Rome. A bishop was the leader of Christians in a given region. Rome was considered the most important region because Rome had been the center of the Roman Empire, and because it was there that Peter, the first bishop of Rome, had been martyred. The most important regions outside of Rome were led by archbishops. Arch means very important. Each bishop or archbishop oversaw the work of many priests. Abbots oversaw the work of their monks. So priests and monks answered to their bishops and abbots. The bishops, archbishops, and abbots in turn answered to the Pope in that way. The Pope was the leader of the whole Christian church in Western Europe, and Christianity kept on growing. Even though the church was powerful, it could not provide law and order. The Christian church had religious authority, but no armies or police. Sometimes that was a problem, such as when the pagan Lombards kept trying to attack Rome. Then the Pope turned for protection to one Germanic tribe that had converted to Christianity. Charlemagne and the faithful Franks. Of all the tribes of Europe, one group in Gaul made a greater difference than all the others, the Franks. The Franks had ousted the Romans from Central Europe, then conquered the Gauls, and booted the Visigoths to Spain. Their kingdom stretched from the Pyrenees Mountains in the west to the Rhine River in the east. In about AD 500, under a chieftain named Clovis, the Franks embraced Christianity. Instead of destroying Christian churches, they began to worship in them. "Bow thy head, proud Frank," declared a bishop who lived among them. "Adore what thou hast burned. Burn what thou hast adorned." The Franks remained a powerful presence in Europe in the Middle Ages. They achieved the most under a Frankish king of the 8th century named Charles the Great, better known by his French name, Charlemagne. Charlemagne's father was known as Pepin the Short, and his mother is Bigfoot Bertha. Their son, who grew to a height of 6 feet 4 inches, towered above most men of his day. He had a big bull neck, a handsome face, and a pot belly. Like his mother, he also had large feet. According to legend, our 1 foot measure comes from the length of Charlemagne's feet. Charlemagne was a skilled hunter, a lover of music and learning, a devout Christian, and a powerful athlete. As king of the Franks, he exuded energy in everything he did, and one thing he did was enlarge his kingdom. When this giant stretched his arms, he scattered Saxons to the northeast and Lombards to the southeast. For more than a quarter of a century, he waged war against the Saxons. When the Saxons finally surrendered, Charlemagne insisted that the tribe accept the church and be baptized as Christians. When the Lombards threatened the Pope in Italy, Charlemagne defeated them. He waged war against the Muslims in Spain, known as Moors. And here's a little bit of information here. And take a look at the map too. So here's the Pyrenees Mountains. Here's Monte Cassino, where the monks were at. And And then you can see here's the Alps, and here's the Rhine River. Okay. And if we take a look, this is Charlemagne's empire. And there's monasteries with scriptoriums, bishop's seat with a scriptorium, and then his empire. Okay, monks knew they had a friend in Charlemagne. One abbot told the king about a new idea to make writing easier. He said scribes were wasting a lot of time writing everything in capital letters, the way Romans used to. If scribes used a combination of large and small letters, the copying would go faster. It would be easier to read, and the words wouldn't take up as much space on parchment. Charlemagne agreed wholeheartedly, and a new kind of writing was born. It combined capital letters and small or minuscule letters. This new kind of writing was called Carolingian minuscule. In Latin, the name Charles is Carolus. Carolingian minuscule is the basis for the combination of large and small letters we use today. Okay. Charlemagne also valued the blessings of peace. He expanded education and learning. Though Charlemagne himself could not write, he wanted schools across his realm. He set up a palace school and brought the finest teachers to his court. They taught students who would one day become important government officials. Throughout his life, Charlemagne supported monasteries in their important efforts to preserve learning. He gave them funds and instructed them to care for the great classical works that they held in their libraries. With renewed vigor, monks set about their task, painstakingly copying old manuscripts and preserving them for the ages. Much of the classical literature we have today comes to us from copies of books made in Charlemagne's time. A crowning glory. From Rome, Pope Leo III watched with satisfaction as Charlemagne performed his great works. He saw a Frankish king who had forged a vast empire and saved Rome from the Lombards. He saw a man of amazing energy, a Christian king devoted to the work of the church. Was this a ruler on whom the church could pin its hope? Was this a leader who could restore unity and order to Europe? Yes, thought Leo, Charlemagne is just such a king. On Christmas Day in the year 800, Leo presided over a mass in Rome. He invited guests for the occasion. His invited guest for the occasion was Charlemagne himself. At the Pope's request, the king did not wear his usual Frankish garb. For this occasion, Charlemagne donned a long Roman tunic. Around his waist, he tied a golden belt, and on his feet were a pair of jeweled sandals. Charlemagne detested pomp and ceremony, but he was a Christian, and it was Christmas Day, and he was willing to humor the Pope. The church was crowded that day. Romans, Franks, Lombards, Goths, Anglo-Saxons, and even some Greeks filled the building. As the service came to an end, Charlemagne knelt in prayer. All other eyes were on Pope Leo, who approached the kneeling king. He stopped beside the altar, upon which sat a dazzling crown of gold, studded with precious jewels. Suddenly, the Pope picked up the crown and placed it on Charlemagne's head. At this, the members of the congregation shouted 3 times, "Long life and victory to Charlemagne," they cried, "crowned by God as the great emperor of the Romans." Then the Pope knelt at Charlemagne's feet, kissing the hem of his Roman tunic. The king of the Franks was hailed as a new Constantine, a new Justinian. Europe, it seemed, had an emperor again. Charlemagne claimed to be surprised and embarrassed. He insisted that he was simply king of the Franks, not any kind of emperor. But he and the Pope had been talking about trying to revive the glory of the old Roman Empire. And Charlemagne had taken great strides toward that goal. He had united a vast realm under the Christian faith. Indeed, people began to refer to that realm as Christendom. He brought order to the empire and made great advancements in learning. In later years, Charlemagne would come to be known as the first emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. Charlemagne's great empire did not last much beyond his death. His sons did not prove equal to their father. They divided his realm, fought threats from within, and faced fierce new invaders from the north. At about the time of Charlemagne's death, the Vikings began raiding the coasts of Ireland, England, and northern France. In the next chapter, we'll learn more about the Vikings, their northern homeland, their seafaring ways, their warrior culture. For now, let's conclude this chapter by imagining what life was like around AD 800 when Irish monks began to encounter the Viking threat. And right here, what was the Holy Roman Empire? In AD 800, Charlemagne ruled a vast realm and was crowned Emperor of the Romans by the Pope. Charlemagne's empire broke apart after his death. About 150 years later, another pope crowned the leader of Germany, Otto I, and declared him emperor of a large area that became known as the Holy Roman Empire. It has been said that the Holy Roman Empire was neither very Roman nor very holy. It included most of modern Germany, Austria, and northern Italy. In these regions, ambitious nobles plotted, argued, and jealousy guarded their own power. Meanwhile, the Pope also wanted a say in running the empire. Despite all the disagreements, for more than 8 centuries, the Holy Roman Empire sprawled across a large part of Europe. And we'll stop the reading there and we'll begin the story in another reading.